questions, concerns, comments, complaints, pet pics. Send us some recipes. Send us some stories about your day. We're going to listen.
Podcast, start your engines. We have liftoff. Let's have a journey.
He ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. I caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. He ain't too sharp, but he gets things done. He drinks beer like it's oxygen. That's John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves, featuring Irish DeMott. My name is Matthew Keel. I have a friend with me named Jason Marshall. He hates anime. This is Story Route Zero, episode 77, I think. I don't remember. Yes. Oh, cool. All right. Lightning striking twice all over the place. We were supposed to talk about Resident Evil 2, the remake, tonight for Game Club. We have to call an audible on that because some personal things happened with our guest, and they kindly asked that we postpone, so we are obliging. So you will get that next week. So for now, it's just Jason and I. We're gonna do a little fireside. Just gonna talk. Yeah. I should turn my chair around, put my hat backwards. Just let's rap a little bit, after school special style.
Put the feet up and
yeah. So we've had a week off, which was I'm gonna say it lovely.
It was weird though.
But it was like Monday came, and just a little peek under the hood for another show. I freewheeling it recorded that night instead of this. And the entire time I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be talking to you today.
It was weird, but because I didn't work, it wasn't as like it wasn't like, oh, I worked all day and then it's like, oh, I have to record now. Because I was off all day and then it's like, oh, it's Monday. But it like kind of threw off the rest of the week because it was like, when did Monday happen?
Yeah, I honestly I didn't realize it was show day until we started like, I think until Moose and I started talking about something, and I said, oh, it's show tonight, and I can talk about a certain game that I actually get to talk about now. But not near as much as Jason would, not near as much as Jason is expecting, but probably just me talking about it is too much at this point. I don't know. But now, despite you being the captain, you're getting what you didn't want.
It's like karma. I said I'm the captain now, and the ship's already going down.
You did. You're the captain, and this ship has capsized. Come on, boy. And now Bagel's whining because it's raining outside. He doesn't know where his mother is. Yeah, I know, buddy.
Yeah, we've been getting thunderstorm warnings like every day.
Yeah, it's been weirdly humid here in Philly. But so this is where we generally talk about video games, but we generally ask, how was the weekend? But we were gone. So how was your last week, Jay? How did you celebrate the 4th? Did you guys do anything?
Just the girls. We set up the water slide, barbecued. Just relaxing. Nothing big.
What is the Marshall barbecue agenda? Just burgers and dogs?
Burgers and dogs. We did onion rings, sweet potato fries.
Nice. You did that on the grill?
The fries were in the air fryer.
Okay.
But then I did raw onions too on the grill with the burgers on the dogs.
I love some grilled onions. Grilled onions are wonderful.
And then we had nice weather, so the girls got to play on the water slide and just relax. And then the little one got scared of the fireworks. Par for the course too.
That's standard, yeah.
Callie wasn't thrilled either.
Right, yeah. Dogs don't like big booms. Didn't do anything for the 4th specifically here. I had to work the entire weekend, and the 4th of July was one of my holidays, so I was working 11 p.m. that Sunday night to 11 a.m. Monday the 4th. So by the time I got home and was in any position to really do anything, I was on being up for a day, and I was really out of it by the end of it, and I crashed. But that's healthcare. And then I feel like this past weekend was like bookended by some bullshit for Reba and I, not like between us, but like just shit that we have to deal with. Where it's like, this kind of sucks. But Saturday and Sunday, like the meat of the weekend, was really good. Saturday we spent much of the day together. We hung out. I got a haircut, which was much needed. And then we were basically, I don't remember a lot of what we did, but I just remember the hangout time that Reba and I had, like just sort of being together, and that I think I'm getting to the point in life where just that happening is very satisfactory. Mm-hmm. So being able to do that was a lot of fun. And then Sunday, I woke up early with a specific purpose in mind. That happened a little bit less than I wanted it to, but I'll go into that when we start talking about games. And I finished watching the 2 major soccer tournaments that happened. England lost the Euro 2020 final. I know it's 2021, but they postponed last year's due to COVID. That sucks. This is an England team that I genuinely like watching. But like most of the world, I don't like it when England wins. And there's a different type of New York Yankee mentality when it comes to England. And that would take too long to really explain. But that said, watching this England team play the way they did this tournament was really, like, it was really lively. They didn't really back down from anybody, and they didn't really start getting scared like they normally do in a tournament till the final. Mm-hmm. I don't really have a problem with like England fans as individuals, because like I'm friends with several of them because they grew up there, they live here. But I do have problems with England fans, the collective, going after the 3 individuals that missed penalties because a little bit of background. Racism is still alive and well in the soccer world. And the 3 individuals that missed penalties in the England shootout were young, black, and basically kids, because like I don't think they were older than 25 at this point. I could be wrong on that. I know the one who missed the final penalty is a teenager, one of the youngest players to ever play this tournament. And it's just like, you know what? Fuck England fans sometimes doing all the racist bullshit they're doing to these kids. Fuck them. These kids are... yeah. I mean, I shouldn't talk being in Philadelphia where our fans are notoriously shitty. But I'm not a Philly fan because I didn't grow up here, except for the Flyers, because I picked them because we don't have a professional hockey team in Iowa. Why I didn't pick the Blackhawks, I don't know. That's an 8-year-old me decision. And then I do want to say,
I'm proud of you for sticking to that.
Oh yeah, the Flyers have been garbage forever. Like
you can't switch teams. It's a pet peeve of mine. You have like a certain point, and then when you cross that point in your life, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I for a long time, I was a Liverpool soccer fan, just because they were the first team I watched play a lot. And then when I saw their fans do a bunch of bullshit, I kind of just actively stopped. I didn't really stop watching the games because you don't really have a choice in games a lot of the time here, depending on your access. But I didn't jump ship. Like I had like two teams in England that I cared about, Liverpool and Manchester City. Manchester City specifically before they were rich. Like I loved it when Manchester City was poor and fighting relegation every year. It was a weird kind of drama to watch. But I did not. I like in soccer. Like I watch multiple leagues. Like this is a French team. So I have like different teams in different leagues. And if there's ever a off chance that they play each other in the Champions League, I tend to just enjoy the game rather than root against myself because that's silly.
But like, if say the Yankees and Mets or Jets and Giants or Rangers and whoever are in the playoffs, I hate when like if the Yankees lose and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna root for the Mets now?" I'm like, "Why?" Like,
yeah, why? Yeah, no.
I'm like, what? No, what? No. Do you know what the word fan comes from? I'm not rooting for another. Like that's just. I think I hate to use the term hardcore fan, like a sports fan, but like I think people are confused when they're casual fans. To them, like, see, I watch the World Series. Baseball is my favorite sport. I'll watch the playoffs regardless of where the Yankees are. The Yankees haven't been in the World Series in quite some time now. I mean, not as long as some other teams, but But like, I could still watch. Like, I could turn on a baseball game regardless, and I can watch it without. I don't need to root. Like, if I turned on the Red Sox, yes, I don't want them to win, but I don't necessarily root for the other team.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't, like, I feel that's weird. It's weird to me when I see that. Like, when the Leafs got knocked out and then Toronto fans are like, oh, I guess I'll root for the Canadians. No.
Which fucking why? Every Canadian hates the Canadians. That's what they're the Yankees. That's what you're supposed to hate them. That was cool though. I'm glad that I'm not a Lightning fan. I do like seeing the Canadians lose though. I really do.
I think most people the Canadians are like the Phillies of Canada. They're fans, like that level of shittiness.
Oh yeah. They're like, but see, and they're also shitty and like they've won the most Stanley Cups too. So it's like they fucking have a reason to be. And just like, God, fuck you. But also the other soccer tournament that happened was Copa America, which is basically the Euros for South America. Argentina won its first title for that in a while, led by the wonderful Lionel Messi, who scored tons of goals on the way to the final. Did not score in the final. And Bagel wants to chime in. What do you got, Bagel? Anything? Nothing? Cool.
Bagel, you're one taller.
Yeah, I figured out something recording one of the other podcasts that I'm on. He will sit between my legs and put his like chin on my knee and just kind of whine unless I pet him. So I'm like, what if I just put a towel on this little bin here and give him, a little place to lay. Sometimes he'll just sit here or sometimes he'll lay. And like right now there's a storm on, so he's asking for attention. Yes, he is. And yeah, so you're getting your third chair, Bagel, today. He's like, I watch my dad play video games a lot. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You fall asleep and you fart a lot too. You snore real loud too. But that's neither here nor there. So Lionel Messi won a trophy for Argentina. And I think that, I don't know. I mean, I would like to see him go another World Cup and see if he could win it. Don't know if he can or will, but it was good to see him get an international trophy, basically adding another notch to the legacy as one of the best to ever do it, because he's a phenomenal football player. And yes, I will say football because it's played with the feet. That's another argument. Jason, have you been playing any video games?
I have.
Cool.
How about we do me, instead of me just talking and then you.
That's, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'll do a back and forth. Let's do this.
So I did a thing. I've spoken about how much I hate my 3DS because the 3D.
Yes, you have.
And I constantly trigger it, and it's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So I found through Nintendo a refurbished new 2DS for only $100.
Okay.
I ordered this a couple months ago. It finally came in, and so the past week and a half I've been playing new Super Mario Brothers 2.
Nice.
I love me a good Mario platformer. Just the.
Sure.
This is a weird complaint, maybe because they're a little too generous in this game with extra lives. Like I'm in world 2 and I have 110 lives. I feel like I go through halfway through a level, I get 4 extra lives, I die, and then it's like, well, I gained 3 lives on that one.
Yeah.
Go through again. I happen to die at the end, or I kill myself because I want all the stars.
Sure.
Well, I got 4 extra lives, so I guess I can kill myself. But it's like I didn't notice at first, and then it's like I have like 100. Why do I have so many extra lives?
Because you've been playing with that extra wiggle room and just coming up trumps. You know, you've been taking house money. That's what you've been doing.
It's so weird how just removing the 3D button has just changed. Like if you don't have a 3DS, it's hard to explain, but it's right there where you hold it, and I constantly.
It's really. I mean, my 3DS has it too, and I'm like, I play games that don't really use it. Like I've been playing Earthbound, still, but I'm just like, what is this thing that I'm touching? And I don't even know what it does. And I'm like, oh, it's a 3D button.
The new 2DS is actually lighter up top.
Okay.
I think because they're not supporting like the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel it actually stays. I feel the 3DS, the screen would move too much because I guess you were trying to tilt to get the 3D to work.
Sure.
But either way, having a blast playing through that. I figured I'm just gonna go through my 3DS library. I got a ton of Mario and Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
So why the hell not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? I've heard a lot of people talking about the Game Boy Advance of late, and I've thought about going there to play some of the games that I missed out on because I never had it. But I don't know if I'll do that. But it's just been something that has come across my purview, and I'm like, I've never played Minish Cap. I should probably play Minish Cap at some point because all that stuff has been taken off the 3DS store. But so how far are you in? I know you said, and I forgot, but how far are you in?
Halfway through World 2, but I have 3 stars on every like I don't move on to like complete each level.
Okay.
So it's like it's not slow necessarily because it's pretty easy once you. But some of them are well hidden. But so I'm just taking my time. I play like a level here and there.
Sure.
Down. But something just grab and go.
Yeah, no, I've been doing that a lot. Like I did finally beat 3D World, but I kind of want to go back and 100% it. I still haven't touched the Bowser's Fury part of that, but yeah, I was doing the same thing. So since last we talked, what are you doing, Bagel? Get out of there. Since last we talked, I did finish and platinum Astro's Playroom.
Excellent.
So that game, y'all, is really fun. I know I talked a lot about it when Moose and I sort of waxed poetic about having a PS5, but
it's a tech demo, but they did it in such a way that you don't mind.
I wouldn't even say it's a tech. I'd say it's a tech manual because, like,
yeah, I mean, they really highlight everything the controller can do, but it doesn't feel like it's not a burden. Like, okay, I get it. Like,
right?
Like it's a quick hold down the trigger halfway, and then it's like, okay, and you have literally a whole level, not just. It's not like the tutorials in fighting games where it's like you have to pull off this combo and then you're done. Like it's literally,
Mhm.
here's how you use touchpad. Now here's an entire level dedicated. Now here's
Yes.
something new, and then it's like each section kind of ties in. Like, could you imagine if they made a full length game out of it? Like for those that
Well,
don't
I
know,
mean,
I mean,
I,
maybe you can, maybe the point is it should be short, but I mean,
right.
I can compare it to like Super Mario 64, how it played. Like,
Yeah.
it just was fun to like find, and then not to mention the nostalgia of like finding like the random
Oh
like,
shit! All going through all that hardware is fucking crazy. And as someone who, while I've been podcasting about games for some time, I wouldn't consider myself ingrained in the industry. Like there were so many things in that game that were peripherals for PlayStation hardware.
oh
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
yeah,
Like there's a GPS for the PSP that's like bigger than the PSP. Like
yeah, I've
what?
I've had every PlayStation, but there were accessories. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Uh, What? But
yeah,
like
and
seeing like the PS2 with the ridges, like the mass, it's like,
oh
and
yeah.
then like remembering how, and I remember this on mine. You can turn the logo
Hmm.
if it's sideways or
Yep,
up, and you can turn it in game. I'm like, that's
yep.
and like a
I
disc,
think there's a trophy for punching that logo. I
yeah,
think.
and
Yeah.
the disc drive, and it's like,
Hmm.
what was the last system to even have a disc drive?
PS5.
No, 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 like a drive like the PS2. Was the PS2 that generate? Because PS3 had the
Well,
top
what do you
one,
mean?
like it slides the drawer slides out.
Oh,
Is it PS2 generation?
I think it.
But does the Xbox
I think it was because the PS3, the Ultra Slim was a top one,
top
right?
down the top
It
loader?
slid it slid over the top. And the first PS3, you just slid it into the slot.
Right. I have
Um,
the white PS3 now where the tray separates, but
yeah, like
I
that
can't
was the last thing I had.
I can't speak for Xbox. And
I
then
don't think Xbox had a. Uh, I think one. Well, the first Xbox I think did. Maybe 360 did too.
that's so
Um,
weird. But you know what? From a tech point of view, it's probably cheaper because could you imagine how many of those are gonna break?
oh, definitely. I mean, I think they were just doing that because there were a lot of computers that had those, and they were sort of building around computer specs, and then
Yeah.
um, like I have a Blu-ray player on my PC that does that, but I bet you there are a lot of just slot loaders rather
Most have
than
just the
drawers.
optical. Like my MacBook has the optical. There's no tray. You just slide it in.
Um, so,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
Astro.
Astro's Playroom is fucking dope. I was actually having a talk today with a coworker who is like kind of into games, and he was like, "So you're still just playing the tech demo?" Because we were talking about games on PS5. I'm like, I wouldn't call this a tech demo. I mean, this is a full game that just shows off the hardware. Like it's a short game, yes, but I don't. There's no rule that says a game has to be at least 15-20 hours long.
You know what? It's a full game because if I stopped for the night, I wanted to play. It wasn't like, okay, I tried this, I'm done. Like I wanted
Yeah.
to finish it, and not just for the platinum. Like I wanted to do all the different worlds and see the different things.
Well, like when you sent me that mech demo on Steam, like that's the first demo I've downloaded in fucking forever because I don't really do demos. And I'm like, I'll try this. And I did that. I did like a couple scenarios and then bounced because I'm like, this game, if I spend too much time here, I probably won't want to come back for the actual game. And that's always been sort of my aversion to demos because I don't want to be in that space where like, oh, I played that, I know what it's about, don't need it. But then, you know, and the flip side of that is you spend a lot of money on games you might not actually want to play. But I also recognize that, and I also know that if I buy a game, that's on me. So what's next on your list, Jay?
I'm going for 100% in Ender Lilies.
Okay.
This game is phenomenal. It's a true Metroidvania. Like, the further you get, the more abilities you get, but it's not just, oh, hey, now I'm not, this isn't, but it's like, oh, hey, you can fly now, and now the next stage is flying. It's like, oh, you get this ability. Hey, remember that thing from the literally first screen you played? Now you can go back and it's like super callback, like, which I think is so cool. Like, to do 100%. You don't have to, but like,
right. I'm assuming you have to do like 100% of the map for the platinum.
Well, I'm playing on Switch, but you need 100% for the true ending.
Oh, okay. All right.
What was cool is the map shows when you complete an area.
Okay.
Like, the rooms turn a different color on the map to know like it's completed. So you can kind of go back and like, I always would see like rooms I was in that weren't completed, and then like I got a new ability, and it was like, oh, but it's definitely got a challenge to it. Patience is the key, but it's just so much fun, and like, it's not like, if you die in a fight, you're dead in 30 seconds. It's not like you spent like 20 minutes and most bosses, once you die, you can get back to them in less than a minute. It's not like you're like, it's not one of those games where you got all the way to the boss, you die, and now you have to clear the whole level again. Like, usually there's save spots right before the boss, so it's like, all right, you can get back up and try again.
Yeah, that was one of my bigger problems with like Salt and Sanctuary, because there were some of those save spots that were just in a weird place, and you had to do a lot of work to get to the boss.
Yeah, nothing more discouraging than redoing it, and then you get to the boss and like you use all your health potions. You have like half a bar of health, and you're like, ugh, I gotta either flawless this or I'm dead.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, granted, nothing focuses the mind like necessity, but also
definitely get and I didn't play a lot of it, but I get the Hollow Knight vibes, because like, your character is like a radiant white color, and it's like dreary backgrounds.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, the levels are like, the whole thing's one level, but they vary enough, and it's just so cool how many different moves you can pick from, and just the combinations of like the equipment, it's just really cool. I think they did a phenomenal job.
So the combat system's relatively deep then?
So you can equip,
or is that the traversal?
The traversal, I mean, you unlock more stuff as you go, but the combat, you have 2 sets of skills, 3 each, and you can swap, like, it's just a trigger button to swap sets. You have, right now I have like 5 skills I can pick from that are unlimited in use. They're basically your main attack, like, you're just hack and slash. But then you have others with limited use and cooldown. So you kind of pair them up with, like, I have one subset with these abilities, and then another subset with the other. And anytime you go to a save point, you can swap out.
Now, does going to a save point sort of refresh them, or?
So yeah, restore all your health, restore all your health potions, restore your ammo, so to speak, like your charges, but it also all the enemies respawn.
Okay, so it's doing the
But
souls
it's
thing essentially.
pretty. There's a lot of saves. There's a good number. You're not going long unless you choose to without saving.
Right.
And you can avoid most enemies. I mean, experience is always a good thing, but you can
Mhm.
like once you get the ability to dash, you can kind of just they're kind of like souls enemies. Like they have a charge up, they're gonna swing, and then they can't just turn around and hit you again. It's like a
Right.
delay, so you can avoid them. Um, but yeah, I should have like so I've beaten the game, but I want the true ending. So
Sure.
I'm getting there. You do have to beat the game again, which I'm not looking forward to.
Okay. So
Like
now, so when you beat so have you basically started over at this
no, no, no,
point,
no.
or is
So
there like a new game plus?
once you beat it, you're back to like right before you beat it.
Okay.
So all I have to do is go to to the save point before the boss and fight the boss again. Once
Okay.
I'm done, I'm probably about 90% through the collectibles.
Okay. Is there a fast travel system?
Every save you so this is cool. Every save point you can travel between, but if you want, you can pause the game, hit return to respite. It returned you to the last one you were at. It
Mm-hmm.
counts as a fast travel, respawns everything, but you can literally do it like you can do it in midair. Like it's like, oh
Nope, this
shit.
boss is gonna beat me. Return. Wow.
You don't lose
Remember in the
anything on
Souls?
death, which is cool. So like if you
Okay.
picked up a collectible and then die, collectible is yours. Don't lose experience. All you do is everything respawns.
Oh, okay. So like, there's no like currency loss or anything.
And then it's got the whole shortcut system you're used to in Souls.
Okay.
Pull a lever. What did that do? And then you
Pull
realize,
lever.
oh,
Elevator shows up. And you're like, oh, where does this go? Oh, I'm back here. Oh, I'm back here. Oh, well, at least I can come from here to there, but I'm back here. Huh? Let's fight.
I appreciate it more in a 2D setting because it
Mhm.
seems weird, but then like when you have to like retrace your steps, it's literally like, oh wait, the door, it's literally one door away. Like, oh, okay, that's a legit shortcut.
Yeah.
Versus I went 5 screens this way, two back, three down, four left to get this, and now I could just walk right.
Sweet.
Um, it's no, it's top three games for me this year.
Okay.
But it's not for. I'm going to review it. I decided
Okay.
because
Sweet.
I feel almost obligated if it's going to be in my game of the year.
Mhm.
Um, like I don't see it sliding past 5, even if 4 phenomenal games come out the rest of the year. Um,
Sure.
it's but it's definitely not for everyone because I think the challenge is there and I think it can be discouraging. But
Okay.
hopefully the
Now,
pacing,
when you say discouraging, like why discouraging?
it's one of those like get it does have that get good mentality at
Right.
first. I think
Okay.
the first boss took me the longest out of any bosses. And I really was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
But once I beat him, not that they became easier, but then I realized you're probably going to die on every boss at least once or twice. But once you see their pattern, not that you're guaranteed to beat it, but you kind of figure out. And there's no like, you can't rush anything. Like you're like, oh, here's this. Well, you as a Souls fan, just
Mhm.
because he has a sliver of health doesn't mean you should charge in and attack.
Oh yeah, don't get greedy.
But I
Don't
have a
get
full
greedy.
bar. But I have a full bar of health. Well, you could take your full bar of health and shove it.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll find a way to take it from you. They will.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely put that on your radar.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Conversations have been had. Deals have been made.
I have to admit,
Cigars
playing
have been smoked. Not really though.
playing docked Not that it makes me want to get it on PlayStation. I'm not going to double dip, but
Mhm.
it's definitely better on a larger screen.
Okay.
I think it makes the dreariness pop more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total
Like
sense,
she
actually.
becomes basically brighter and the surroundings are more detailed. But I mean, that's most Switch games, once you dock them, they do look different on a larger screen.
Yeah, the one like the thing about like I think for as dark as Hollow Knight is, it goes to portable mode on Switch very well. Salt and Sanctuary, not so much. Like
Uh,
it is very very dark, and
the
I
Vita
found
version was the worst thing I've
oh
ever.
The Vita version was bad. Like that. I mean, granted, the OLED Vita made that darkness look beautiful in its way, but
It was a little too dark.
it got to a point where there were several areas that you just could not see. Um, but I was just thinking about when I went back to play that on PS4, like that game needs a bigger screen because it's so dark, and because you need just that little you need to stretch out that light however you can. And some of the areas the darkness works to startling detail and startling it just the way that the beauty comes across. But I'm excited to play this, and I'm excited to play this on a TV rather than on a
Yeah.
portable screen. Um, so I'm going to cheat because the other game I played this past week and finished was the game we were supposed to talk about tonight. So, but I will say I will say something brief about it. It is the first Resident Evil game I've ever played. I had never played any of the series before, and I mean I think that's more because I'm not. I like horror as a concept, but very I don't want to say very few, but like way less horror intrigues me. And for some reason, what deterred me from this series was the way people just said, "Oh, it scares the shit out of you." Whereas when I first played Dead Space, like they're like, "Oh, this is basically Alien. Do you like Alien?" Like, "Oh, I love Alien. Play Dead Space." And I'm not gonna make any more comparisons to any other media about Resident Evil 2, the remake, but I will say this game was the right kind of fucking ride for Matt to be fully on board
To,
with.
to piggyback on that exact thing, I don't care for horror. It just doesn't interest me.
Mhm.
This was scary though, in a way. This was, if you told me this plays like Alien Isolation, I would have been on board. That shit, like Alien Isolation, the alien wasn't necessarily scary. It was the being stalked was horrible. Like I,
Yeah.
I'm tired of zombies. I don't. It's just. I think it's just okay. I'm done with this crap. This is.
Yeah.
Let's
I
move
get it.
on.
Fuck off.
Exactly. But like the anxiety inducing from like being stalked, like that
Mhm.
was scarier than like sure there was a few zombie jumps like through a window and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But it was the knowing, like when you hear, it was like Alien Isolation. You hear him stalking you, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna say Resident Evil 2 is a fucking ride. And now I'm going to speak to some people that I know that are really into Resident Evil and say, okay, I'm interested in more of these. Is there a specific one that you think I should try next? And then go from there.
Right.
Because I
But
know
yeah,
I know
yeah. But I don't want to play an action game that just has like zombies and monsters. Like I want this kind of like methodic like
Yeah.
play. Like I don't need like I could there's plenty of shooters. Like I could play Call of Duty with zombies if I
Hmm.
want that. Like I don't need that. I want this specific like I don't think I'll be jumping into Resident Evil 3 because I hear it's more action oriented. I don't want
Hmm.
so, but we'll talk about this more next week.
Yes.
So what's your
Um,
other?
so the other thing, and this is, did you have anything else before I go again, or did you want me to
I
just go?
I have one other thing.
Okay, well, I'll have my time here, and I'll try and not go too long. I finally started Demon Souls this weekend. My buddy Ahmed and I decided we sort of made a pact that we were going to play this game together. Um, so he's in the UK, I'm here. It's really hard to line up time, so this is probably going to be a long time going. But both of us, we basically fired it up at the same time. We created our characters. We spent different amounts of time doing that. We spent different amounts of time in that opening area where you ultimately die from, and it was so nice for both of us to be there again, because this was one of the first games he and I played through to completion and platinum together. Um, we I'm pretty sure, I don't want to just speak for him, but I do know that like we both hold Demon Souls in high esteem. This is my favorite in the modern From Software era, um, mainly because when you compare it to where Dark Souls went, and as a series like 1, 2, and 3, I still think this is ultimately a weirder, wilder thing. I like a lot of these bosses more than I do Souls bosses. And granted, there's a certain Dark Souls cream of crop of bosses, and you could throw Bloodborne and Sekiro in there too. But there there's a there's a whole lot of just wonderful things in Demon Souls that I still just love. And Ahmed and I were able to we beat the we beat 1-1, which is Boletaria Palace, and we fought the Phalanx, took care of him. And then we took care of the Armor Spider in 2-1. And then we were starting 4-1, but he had to jet for some personal things. And I basically said, okay, I'm going to wander around these areas and, either grind for souls, grind for, grass or healing items. Um, and it was, and as we were going, and I just dovetailing back, as we were going through these areas, it was amazing how much we remembered. And it was amazing how we remembered different things, because I'm like, and we would argue about it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure if we go down here, there's something else that we're missing. And sometimes I would be right. And if he did that, sometimes he would be right. But we were having right and wrong moments. We were having so much fun just going through these areas again. I can't wait to finish it again and platinum it again. And I just want to say, getting back to the PS5 haptics, I know a lot of people in the Souls community will think this is easy mode or blasphemous or whatever, with that toxic ass get good mentality. Now, I know some people who are not toxic and have a problem with this, but they will be articulate and be like, this is why. And, and I get that. That's all good. But the haptics, when you are a caster in Demon Souls, oh my goodness. I've always had in my head an idea of what casting a spell would feel like. I did not expect anybody to have the same thoughts I did. And the way when you cast a spell in Demon Souls, the way that controller rumbles, it's the same thing. So I think I know why they wanted pictures of our ears before, so they could see our brains and extrapolate all of that information. So clearly they got that from something. No. But casting a spell in Demon Souls, it does not get old. And I'm actually going to lean further into being a caster this time out than I ever have. I'll probably try and make it so I can use every spell. I will probably spend a lot of time grinding souls to over level myself for the specific purpose of attuning as many miracles and enchantments as possible. And yeah, it is so much fun to be back. It is. I remember Saturday, the day before this took place, I had a preteen child moment with my wife when I said, okay, I'm waking up early tomorrow because Ahmed and I are playing Demon Souls. And Reba did everything short of patting me on the head and going, that's okay. My wife is so supportive and I love her for it. But we did that. And I wish we could have played longer. I wish personal things didn't have to happen, but they did. And this is I will try not to overtake a lot of conversations with Demon Souls talk, but I will close my time out here by saying Moose and I were talking about it, and he said something. He's like, you know what? I notice a lot of people I follow, like streaming, they streamed this game once and really never went back, and I don't really understand why. And I said, I will 100% tell you why. That people like Dark Souls fans tend to think 2 is the weird one, but what they don't realize is Demon Souls is the weird one. It was always the weird one. It's the only weird one where your choices kind of matter, or your actions kind of matter, or your failures kind of matter, with the world tendency and character tendency and all of that stuff playing into the gameplay experience. And I love it for it. Now, are the people who critique the remake saying it is replacing a classic rather than helping it live on? There's validity there. I will say that, because this is not the PS3 version. This is not what you played. This is probably how you remember it, or this could be a way of how you remember it. But if you're going to compare screenshots, it's vastly different. If you're thinking the better screenshot is the better game, because I can see a world where I finish this game, platinum it, and say, like, you know what, the PS3 one was better. And that's not because this is a bad game or a bad remake. This is a very wonderful remake. This is a very beautiful job that Blue Point did. In fact, I'm going to say Danny O'Dwyer of NoClip Video on Twitter did a documentary on Blue Point's remake, and you should watch it. It's only an hour long, and it is a wonderful example. It shows tons of ideas, and it even shows Blue Point saying, okay, well, when we put this out, everyone said we got this wrong, and then we went back and we're like, okay, we kind of have to change that because the fans are right on this one. Or they would, and they did give examples of things they weren't going to take back because and it's not really because we're Blue Point, this is our game. It is like they didn't feel it made things as much better as the fans deemed. But that's, the cloud of nostalgia.
Well, yeah, and old games are, there's 2 categories. Old games are really good, and some old games, and now I'm talking just from a gameplay point of view, going back now, some old games are they show their age.
Oh,
So,
hell yeah.
like, I think it's unfair to say, like, I'm not a Souls fan.
Sure.
I'm like, on the fence. Like, I'm not gonna go play the PS3 Demon Souls.
Right.
If anything, I'm playing the PS5 one. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
gonna go back. And like, I think it's unfair, like, when people like they have that like into like, oh well, I was an OG
Yeah.
Demon Souls. Like, I think that's like it's a crappy. I mean, it's par for the course for gamers, but it's a
Sure.
crappy like attitude. But like, people should show what there's changes, but people should be able to experience a version of not necessarily the best version, because like you said, when you're done,
Mhm.
you've played the PS3 one, like,
Yeah.
but it's a version. It's close. It's similar enough, but
Mhm. Oh, hell
it's
yeah.
a version. Like we, we'll talk about it more next week. But like Resident Evil 2 came out in '98.
And it's been remade twice.
Like I tried to before I started Resident Evil 2, I said, you know what, I have time. I could play 0 and then 1. Because Resident Evil games are generally short.
Mhm.
Platinum aside, if you
Sure.
do the story, like fuck the platinum, especially in
Yeah.
2. No thank you.
I think I
Zero,
might go for it, but
like, well, there's one trophy for not using the item box on a playthrough.
yeah, no, I think I honestly the way my playthrough ended up going, I actually think that's doable. Like the only reason I was going for the item box is because I ran out of room for keys and stuff.
To be fair, I think since it requires 5 playthroughs, I think by playthrough 5, you should know the game. So
Hmm.
not using, but anyway, but like I turned on 0 and like took me 5 minutes to force close it
Yeah.
because it plays like an older game, and I just was like, you know what? I'm not. No, I don't need to. Um, it's unfortunate, but it's in like I feel like there's NES, SNES retro, but then like PS1 to PS3, like,
Yeah, it gets a little rough. Like,
like
but the PS1 N64 era, I think.
okay, yes, N64 there are, but like I feel after that it's like you might have the fond memories, but
Oh
like
yeah.
now that you've experienced what you have now, and you
Hmm.
like, it's not even just, it's not a graphics thing necessarily. Like some of them look rough, but you can look past it. Some of the, it's like the developers didn't understand how to control games. It's like,
Yeah.
why would these controls are awful.
Hmm.
But anyway, I
Well,
did have a question about Demon Souls.
go ahead.
One, I watched Moose briefly. I don't
Hmm.
like watching streamers, but like when you do it, Moose, I try to stop in.
Yeah.
It's it's brighter than I thought. I guess
Hmm.
because I'm so used to Bloodborne and Dark Souls, like he was fighting the Tower Knight. It's like you could kind of see everything. Is that like most of
That's
it?
that's an above ground fight. There are
Okay.
some fights in caves that are real dark.
And
Um,
you fight people.
more
I
or
guess
less,
I'm
yeah.
so used to like Bloodborne and like I said, Dark Souls remastered. Like
Hmm.
he was fighting like real like humans.
Humanoids, yeah. Yeah. There are like the armor spider is a spider. There are a lot of uh there are a lot of like non-human bosses like the dragon god. Um the I think the if I remember there's like the leechmonger and the
Oh
dirty
yeah, I saw
colossus.
a screen
But
grab of that. Like,
but there are a ton of humanoid enemies and bosses. But
and I actually came across a Reddit post. Now that you mentioned about casters, that Demon Souls is probably the one game where being a caster is you can be the most OP.
oh,
And
definitely.
Demon Souls as
Oh,
a caster
definitely.
compared to like you could do it in the other games, but this game is the easiest to do it and to get OP
Hmm.
in a sense, like to get the spell, like the spells and the gear you need. easier than most of the Souls games to go down that path.
Well, speaking of watching Moose, I was in his chat for one of his streams of that, and I said, I don't know if you want a backseat game here, but I'll offer a suggestion. If you want it, let me know. If you don't, I won't say it. But he said, sure, go ahead. I go, you're not supposed to be here yet. And the reason is, and I think this, and this is what I love. This is what I love specifically about Demon Souls, because it sort of flips the whole thing that Mario taught us. Because while everyone refers to the start of each Archstone as like the Boletaria Palace, everyone calls that 1-1. So they think you have to go to 1-2 next and 1-3, and you can't. It stops you. And then I'm like, so you should really, like the Tower Knight, when I originally played it, it was one of the last fights I did because I got tired of getting just housed on my way there. So we ended up going to another area. And then we just like, okay, let's try this again, but like on a different, and then we found our own path through the game. And that's what I love about it. And that's sort of one of the obtuse things that a lot of new folks coming to the game now don't know or don't think about. But getting back to the PS3 Demon Souls versus PS5 Demon Souls, I think you were onto something when you were talking about, people saying, oh, well, I was there the first time. But I think with Demon Souls, that's a different ask when you talk about Nier and Demon Souls, because Nier was a different protagonist, and there were reasons for that protagonist at the time that even now it seems like there was something missed in terms of why Dad Nier was, and I didn't play original Nier, I've only watched it. But there were a bunch of reasons why Dad Nier was kind of beloved, because he was that pre Joel from Last of Us, pre alcoholic dad Kratos in the most recent God of War, where it was like, oh, there's something here that you can, hang your hat on and possibly relate to, or there's a character here to like and respect. Whereas, now we kind of get another sort of Shinji from Evangelion, who grows up into a fucking Final Fantasy character, essentially. So it's ultimately a different experience. Both opinions tend to be on the gatekeeping side, which I'm not a fan of, because that's like the same people saying, oh, you only watch the Lord of the Rings movies, read the fucking books, then we'll talk. Just like, not everybody's into it like you are. And I don't like, I'm talking about Demon Souls, and I don't expect to sell you on this. We were talking earlier in our Discord chat about an anime 2D side scroller that Ark's putting out, and I basically mentioned you as a joke because I know that Jason doesn't like the anime, and that's fine. But like, I'm never going to say that you are less of a person for it. You're never going to say that like your taste is inferior because you're not down with the Gundam or whatever, because that's all bullshit.
No,
we're
right.
in the toy department.
If I said anime's stupid and can't back it up, like I beat Witcher in 28 hours. Like, do I think it's a short? No, and I can recognize. No, but like, well, one, it was the challenge, so I was rushing. But like, I can recognize the greatness that's there. Like, I can't speak to Persona. I tried it. I didn't like it. I know it's beloved.
Sure.
So my guess is it plays well. Witcher, I played through. no, it's not my favorite game of all time. Like people revere it,
Hmm.
but what I played, I can recognize. Like, and I feel like gatekeeping is stupid.
It is. It is. So before we spend too much time on that topic, I really like Demon Souls, and it. I'm excited to play it. Once I get through a playthrough with Ahmed, I will basically be down to clown with anybody that wants to play because I will have played through the whole game with him.
I do want to give more Souls a try. I just
Mhm.
feel I need to make it. The problem is I need to make it the game I'm playing, but I'm always playing like 4 games, and I think
Yeah.
that's the problem. Like, I think if I once I get through another Souls game, then maybe I'd be more comfortable where I can bounce in and out. But like, I feel like it's that. Well, it segues into briefly what else I was playing. I finally jumped back into Assassin's Creed Origins, um,
Okay.
which I've been meaning to. I was only about 9 hours in. I deleted my game. I restarted because I started and I was like, where the.
What?
But like
Were you just overwhelmed by the Ubisoft map? You're like, nope.
compared to a Souls game though, had I given it maybe half hour, probably could have got my bearings and continued. I feel with the Souls, for me, I don't know. I think I'd be too frustrated because there's no like it's not like easy like you can ease into it, especially if you're who knows where. With
Right.
Origins though, that's like a real that caters towards wandering Jason video game. Like in 2 hours, like I am nowhere near the main quest. Son of a bitch.
Mhm.
But I leveled up 12 times and I'm having fun assassinating people.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, I've been playing that. It's basically my PS5 game. Like that's that's that game. Ender's my Switch game, new Super Mario. But also I did my review for Final Fantasy VI boss fight books did come out.
Nice.
Um, Michaela was making fun of me because I was super nervous. I don't know if I'll ever do a book review again. It was very difficult in comparison to a game, especially a book that's a critique of something. So I'm reviewing a book that's a critique of a game.
Okay.
So it was a different,
Very,
like,
very meta choice, Jason.
yeah,
Very
like,
meta.
hey, let's do a book review and let's do this whole meta inception choice of a book.
That's
Excellent.
that's the one thing. That's the one thing that bothers me about when I eventually beat Earthbound. I'm afraid to read that book because I have the boss fight Earthbound one, where I know that it's just going to go hard on the game, which is cool, but also it's just like I'm what one thing I loved about the Spelunky one, it was written by Derek,
Okay,
the guy who developed the game.
right.
And he's basically going through his process of
Yeah,
making
and
the
you get
game.
insight into a game that didn't make it into the game or what he
Yeah.
was thinking, and
And
it's different because he made it. So it's like, okay, this
yeah,
makes more sense.
it's fucking fascinating to watch. He's like, so picture this, and he like has a little diagram in text. So this plus this plus this plus this plus this equals a level in Spelunky. And as someone who played a lot of fucking Spelunky, I'm like, oh, and a lot of it was amazing how much sense it made to someone who has no
Right,
game development chops whatsoever.
right.
So
But yeah, the
anyway,
boss fight books is great. They really
they
pick,
are.
for those who don't know, they pick topics about games that they don't just write about the game. Like
Mhm.
they might write about the origin of the game, but they might write about the fan base, the community that it's created over the years. For Final Fantasy VI, it was all about the music and Nobuo Uematsu, and I wrote it in my review, but like I learned shit, and which was considering I've beaten this game at least a dozen times, I didn't think there was much I can learn
Mhm.
about it, but like like, and I mentioned it in the review, but there's a scene. You've never played it, right?
I played it on I played Final Fantasy 3 on Super Nintendo. And
There's
is that 6? Confirm that for me.
three on
Yeah.
Super Nintendo is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, then I've played 6. Could I tell you anything that happened? No.
But do you remember when the World of Ruin starts?
No.
So after the midway point, and you get the other world.
No, I don't. I'm not gonna. I'm not.
Halfway through the game, you basically have the apocalypse, and there's a whole new. There's no music right at the beginning, and that's actually a choice by the composer to not put music. Think about that. The musical composer, because I never put two and two. It represents the state of the world. Like
silence. Okay.
Like, but it was like my mind was blown with some of these little things, like, and then like the fact that he didn't really care what people would think. Like he wrote an opera for a video game and wasn't really concerned what people thought of it. It's like
good.
People, like, you don't just write operas.
Yeah.
But it was just it was an experience. Like I'm all right. I'm not gonna say never, but I definitely it was out of my comfort zone for reviews. So definitely was something. But Falsified Books and the author all retweeted, so I was like,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And then I briefly played 5 minutes of, so it'd be more discussion in 2 weeks when everyone's here. Boomerang X by Devolver.
Dude, okay, all right. I listened to I think it was Waypoint Radio from Friday, and they were talking about that. I didn't watch a trailer or gameplay, but I looked at like some videos. I basically scrolled through YouTube before I had to do a whole bunch of OR cases today, and I saw some video snippets. I'm like, oh man, that looks dope. So is Boomerang X the real deal?
It's a single player arena shooter in a sense, and you have a
boomerang.
Yes, but it's more like a giant oversized ninja star that acts as a boomerang.
I mean, have you seen the boomerang from the original Castlevania? It's basically a ninja star.
Yes. So, I will report back more in 2 weeks, but this is like, I mean, first of all, it's Devolver. So what do you expect? This is like the definition of Devolver.
Yeah, this is what they do.
But yeah, that's it for games.
Yeah. So you mentioned something during our talk when you were speaking about Ender Lilies. And since it's just you and I'm going to ask you this question so we can talk. You mentioned that it is in your top 3. What else you got? We've hit the halfway point of the year.
True.
We can talk about this. Moose and Michaela don't need to be here. It's cool. It's just us.
2 is probably Loop Hero.
Okay.
3 is tough. It's a toss up between Returnal and Biomutant.
Okay. So you think Returnal and Biomutant are your games of the year at this point, or?
No. Ender and Loop Hero are the top 2.
Okay.
Three is Biomutant / Returnal.
Okay.
And obviously, I mean, we preface this when we do our show. These are our personal picks. Do I think? I know Biomutant got a lot of shit, but I don't care. I had the most. I mean,
we're not pressed. We play games for fun.
like
You
like
know?
like Ratchet and Outriders round out that 5-6
Mhm.
top 6 for me. But yeah, it's between Ender and Loop Hero. Loop Hero was Loop Hero is a really good game, but it's different. It's Loop Hero is probably the only game in my top 6. I don't think I could recommend to everyone.
Yeah,
I think I can only recommend it to a very small portion of the, which is weird because it's so good, but like I
mhm.
don't think, like I think people would find it boring because it's not like there are you end up doing runs 20, 30 runs in a row where it's the same thing and you get nothing. Like
Mhm.
you're looking for one crafting material and you never get it,
Yeah.
and yet you beat
And
the
zero
boss.
zip. You get nothing.
You lose. Go home. Good day.
I said good day.
But yeah, no. What about you?
So, do you think before we go to me, do you want to stretch it to 5? Do you think you could do 5 or?
Yeah, I can do 5, but let me just check.
Okay.
I just was looking. Um, yeah, I'm gonna. All right, 1 and 2, definitely Ender Lily's Loop Hero. I think yeah, Ender Lily's 1, 2 Loop Hero.
Mhm.
3, I'm gonna have to do a tie right now between Returnal and Biomutant. And then
Okay.
4 and 5, I would go Outriders and then Ratchet.
Okay. So for me,
I mean, I could probably go 10, but I'm not.
no, I'm not gonna make. It's only the halfway point. We have plenty of
So
time to settle this
we
shit.
only do half the top 10. It's a halfway point.
Exactly. Only 5 games have come out where we like it. So I'm gonna be a little all over the place, mainly because I think my game of the year at this point, and mine is an experiential list only because these are the games I've played this year. My number 1 is probably going to end up be like if I were to rank it right now, my number 1 is probably Monster Hunter Rise.
Okay.
Um, I've not really spent more time in a game this year, and while I've kind of fallen off recently, there are moments I've had in that game with friends and solo that I've just been like, man, this is a freaking good time. Co-oping with Moose and you when we have has been really fun. Co-oping with Atma, optional objectives, and Julian on Twitter has been it has been the game that I kind of feel like a kid in Fortnite where they play Fortnite to just sort of hang out with their friends. And
Mm-hmm.
for a while, Monster Hunter Rise was that for me. My number 2 is kind of a no-brainer. It's Hitman 3. At this point, I love Hitman, and the fact that this trilogy they keep putting out better games to me is wonderful. I'm kind of glad that IO is taking time off doing a Bond game and putting Agent 47 to rest for a little bit because I have a feeling if they went for a 4th, that would probably be the moment where it just gets super samey. And I also think that with 3, even though it's really high on my list, there are a couple of levels that feel far below the standards set by 2016 and Hitman 2 in 2018. Doesn't mean it's not
Right.
one of the most fun times I've had.
Mm-hmm.
3, I'm going to throw a mobile game in here.
Okay.
It's called Sping. I'm pretty sure it came out this year. But if it didn't, oh well. I played it this year. It's on Apple Arcade. It's SP exclamation point NG. It is a physics game where you basically have to use web slinging to throw a ball through a level, collect all the gems, and into a hoop. And it has a lot of a lot of games I love. There's the for being a touch-based mobile game, feels a lot like Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales.
Okay.
That the swinging feels just like that. It did Pixel Junk Eden vibes for me. And the complex, maneuvering from thing to thing conjured up, some of the better passing plays I've done in my time playing FIFA, or even those multi-level alley-oops you would do at NBA Jam.
Mm-hmm.
It is the haptics in it, and I'd say haptics just as like the way the movements felt to me. It was like that. It's not like my phone was doing any weird vibrating or anything. 4 would probably be Near Replicant. That game is a wild ride, and I've actually had way more fun in different ways playing that game than I thought I would. And then I think we are to 5 now, and I'm going to throw a tie in here. And because fuck it, I'm going to say Astro's Playroom, and because I'm so early in Demon Souls, I'm saying Demon Souls. Because I'm pretty sure Demon Souls will probably end up on my list this year. I also shout out Resident Evil 2 just because I played it for the first time this year. I've played quite a bit of
that could make my top 10.
Mm-hmm. It's really good.
I know other games coming out this year that I'm excited for that I can't see them not making the list. So, but I still think Resident Evil could make, if it doesn't make the top 10, it'd definitely be 11. Like I don't like for me, Deathloop and Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Are going to be in there. I'm hoping Tribes of Midgard, which comes out in 2 weeks, is up there. I think
that reminds me to look at that game.
I think my top 5 is. I think Deathloop could sit at the table. Diablo 2. I played Diablo 2. I know it's going to be in the top 10. I don't know if it's going to unseat those, but that doesn't mean it's going to be worse than them. I think it's just I think because it's I don't want to say whatever. It's basically a replay for me. Like Resident Evil 2 is not a replay. I don't think I played Resident Evil 2 originally. I know the only one I can remember is the mansion and Code Veronica. Okay. So I'm pretty sure, but either way. But who knows what other indie? I mean, Ender surprised me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only reason I didn't include, I could have included Crusader Kings and Loop Hero. The only reason I didn't include Loop Hero, frankly, Jason, is because you mentioned it. I'll be real. This is a non-legally binding top 5 that we're doing in the middle of the year, and Loop Hero is fucking dope. Like you, I've had a lot of games the past few years that I know I love, but I will shout about them until I'm blue in the face. I don't expect people to go to Outer Wilds and get that experience that I had. Right. I don't expect everyone to play Paradise Killer and get the experience I had, but I feel like they should.
Even look at Remnant. I mean, it definitely it wasn't in the majority of top 5s for the big.
Oh, of course not.
I mean, a lot of people actually didn't ripped on it for the various reasons, and I think it's just how you experience it. Like
Yeah.
you said, Monster Hunter, like for you, like playing with people, like not taking away from the actual game, but like
Sure.
I think that was like me playing with you, Remnant, all those hours. Like I think that's like I've gone back and played on my own, but
Hmm.
like I think experiencing in co-op added to it to the point where I think there's more appreciation when you can, because it's not just talking with people. Like you could talk with people, like, oh, did you do this in game? And like I think actually playing with people, like,
I mean, Jason, I'm gonna stop you right here. Let's be 100% real. If we didn't have our experience with the Dreamer or our experience going after that fucking coin, like we never talk about that game
probably not.
again.
I mean, if we just blew through it, it'd be
Mhm.
one of those. You know what? It would be like Strange Brigade. It was if someone
Yes.
reminds us of Strange Brigade, like, oh, that was awesome. I had a blast. But like,
Yeah.
if you ask me to, like, oh, what were games you played? And I'd be like, did I play it last year or the year? Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
one of
don't remember when we played Strange Brigade,
I
to be
think it,
honest with you.
I think it was last year.
I think it was too, but
But I mean, but it's one of those like, yeah, we had a blast, but like, it's like if you asked me to bring up all the games I played, it might be like, what was that name?
mhm.
Yeah, right. It's how you experience certain
Sure.
games.
Sure. Well, I mean, like what Moose and I, when I had first started podcasting, I think it was I started in 2014, but in 2015, I started reaching out to people to try and do a slew of Game of the Year episodes just to pump out a bunch of content. None of it ever came through because while I had cut everything up really nicely, the people who were in control of the feed chose not to put them out for whatever reason. But it was the first time Moose, Phillips, and I all had like basically a bunch of time together to talk, and all three of us named Helldivers as our game of the year. And I think if we hadn't had our specific experience playing Helldivers together, we would not be the people who still talk about that game with the fond memories we have.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we got into some batshit shenanigans playing that game,
Yeah.
and I still love it to this day because of all of that. But yeah, I think a lot of readers of content and people who put out content feel like there's like this standard of what's the best thing out there that you have to sort of abide by, and more often than not, why can't you just talk about what you had the most fun with?
Yeah, I think it's like and nothing. I'm not making fun of anyone, but if you
Sure.
just read IGN or GameSpot and hear what they say, chances
Mhm.
are your game of the year is going to be similar because you only know of these games because they spoke of it. But if you listen to, and smaller is the wrong word, but like if you listen to like Sacred Symbols or Bombcast or Beastcast,
Mhm.
I feel because they don't work for maybe it's because they don't work for a site, but they play games that there was a game from Bombcast that I never heard of anywhere else. I don't know if you played it, but I'm sure you've heard of it. Devil's Trigger. It's like
Yes,
$4 on
I've
Steam.
heard of it, but I've never
It's
played it.
the most absurd thing ever. It's like a speed running FPS, but it's like a horde mode. Just look it
Yeah,
up. It's
yeah.
absolutely.
I remember them talking about it for
But
like an hour.
I don't remember hearing this on any other site. I don't remember seeing it anywhere else. And I feel like when you just follow certain sites, you only know what they, and that's what you like. Like I
Mhm.
feel people who just listen to Kind of Funny,
Yeah.
their game of the year is going to be similar because that's the content they listened to, that's the content they digested. Not that they don't think on their own, but these are the games they have showed interest in because they kept hearing about it. But when you listen to other, and it's hard to listen to multiple game podcasts.
Oh
They're
yeah.
long,
I mean,
and unless you have
especially
long, like you have a commute. I don't. I
yeah.
can't listen to podcasts anymore. I don't have an opportunity.
Mhm.
I sit at my desk, but if I listen to a podcast, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm not working. If I'm working, I'm not listening
Right.
to a podcast. So I think
Hmm.
it's just the the content you digest. Your let it definitely steers your game of the year.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I also think it depends on how you experience said content too, because we are fans of an industry that has a lot of people who go with the current. I'm not gonna do the whole like I'm not gonna do the whole sheeple thing because I don't think that's how it
No,
is.
but I think it
Um,
when you take the bigger sites, like the media sites, not the
sure,
I don't want to say small podcasts because Giant Podcast is not small. Sacred
right.
Symbol is not small. He's got like
Like
an absurd amount of his Patreon, like the new one with Brad, Vinny, and like I think their revenue is going to be like some stupid number. They
like 60,000 a month. It's
it's
ridiculous.
absurd. But like if you look at like the IGN, the GameSpot, the Destructoid, like a lot of their lists are similar because
Hmm.
those are the games that get the most publicity.
Yeah.
So a lot of times those sites, not necessarily the people who work for the sites, but the site itself are forced to, they have to advertise like a game. Like IGN
Hmm.
maybe has some partnership like advertisement deal with whatever game. So like of course, and then like it's almost like it's shoved down the people who work there, their throat, but they have to talk about it. And then if you only consume their content, obviously it's going to steer you because you might not.
Sure.
There's plenty of gamers who don't have a lot of time to game. So if
Oh,
you don't have
exactly.
if they don't have if they don't have the time to consume tons of content, obviously they're going to gravitate. I mean that's how advertisement works. You
Hmm.
hear
Yeah.
about certain
Yeah.
games like, oh, of course, like Darksiders is my game of the year because they
Hmm.
talked about it, I played it, and I didn't have time. Like Loop
Right. And then
Hero,
some.
how many people are going to even know what Loop Hero is?
Yeah. I think a lot of the enthusiast press. I mean, the enthusiast sites like your Nextlanders, your Giant Bombs, your Waypoints, your I mean, kind of funny is its own brand, but you go like IGN and GameSpot. Although GameSpot, there's a chance with GameSpot because of the bigger sites, they tend to be the ones that are outliers, and that's
IGN
probably
used to do this thing where PC was its own thing,
uh
PlayStation was its own thing. They don't do it as much, but I feel PC still got, and Loop Hero's a PC game, so it's
yeah.
kind of, but
But yeah, I mean, whatever it is, try and experience what you can, and rate your experiences and how you feel about them,
like I think the four of us,
rather than saying, oh well, Cyberpunk was a big game last year, so it has to be one of the best, right?
right?
It's like, oh, you stop paying attention after a while.
Like I think when we do ours, like the four of us do have enough of a different opinion on stuff that our lists are never like the three of you had Hades up there, but I didn't.
Mhm.
But other than Hades,
Right.
it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a lot of overlap at all.
No.
Like there
That's
might
one of
have
the
been
reasons why that's one of the reasons I love how we do it, because it's ours rather than
yeah,
work. I mean, I almost like that more than the arguing about a 10
yeah. I
or
think I stand by that. I think it's silly to rank it and argue about it. It should be
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, I kind of like I like the possibility of at some point one of us having our favorite game of the year, and then another person going not necessarily really and like shaming them, but like I would like the counterpoint, like this is why I didn't like it, rather than oh
Or,
yes, your game of the year, you suck.
if you said X was game of the year and I said nah, why? There's all these things wrong with it. Like, how could that possibly?
Yeah, or not like a because we take our subjective points rather
Well, like
than.
you mentioned Hitman. I
Mhm.
didn't. I did it for Game Club, and I didn't like it. Like Hitman. Well, it was Hitman 1, but I
Mhm.
didn't enjoy it at all.
Right, but see, that's also like that's also I don't think, but you didn't come away saying Hitman's a bad game.
Right.
You
Sure.
came away saying you didn't enjoy it,
It's not for
and
me.
right, and that's sort of that's the one thing that I see a lot of, or I have seen a lot of people younger in their press career or their journalism criticism career say, well, I don't like this, so it's bad. And that's like that there's a weird disconnect where like a lot of people don't like Citizen Kane. That does not mean Citizen Kane's a bad movie. There are a lot of people who don't like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Does not mean 2001: A Space Odyssey is a bad movie. There are a lot of people who probably don't like Loop Hero. But guess what? Loop Hero is a great fucking
A lot of people
game.
didn't like Biomutant, but
Mhm.
I, whether it be,
You loved it.
but whether it be the luck of the draw that I didn't have the bugs, or just
Mhm.
I don't. It's also what you I don't know what you expect out of a game versus.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes the reviewers come from a different point of view. Maybe they weren't
Yeah.
interested in it, but like I feel some YouTubers, the big ones, they might have to review games that are big, but they're not. Like I feel like if I was a big YouTuber, could you imagine I'd have to struggle through Scarlet Nexus because it's a big like
Yeah, well, I mean, see, the YouTuber review thing, I'm not going to say there aren't people who do it above board. What I am going to say is that the YouTuber review thing becomes a slippery slope because I think the the idea of the idea of company to person relationship where Square sends this title to this person or Infinity Ward sends this title to this person. If that person, shits on whatever game
yeah,
they're sent, then it depends on what happens next. And I know a lot of that stuff won't come to light.
right. Because I could say no, we never judge, but like I'm sure it gets like if a huge YouTuber says
Mhm.
like this is the worst game I've ever played, it's terrible. Like, do you think they're gonna? It's like it makes you think like, are they really gonna send them their next game right away? Like it's almost,
Yeah. I
or they
mean,
do something shitty like, oh, there's an embargo up to the day of, and you can't do this, just to kind of
stick it to
mask
them.
their concern over this one person, but they kind of screw everyone else. Like there's, well, like you said, it'll never
Mhm.
come to the light of day. But yeah, it's different than hey IGN, hey GameSpot, hey Destructor, here's a code. You
Yeah.
give it out as like
Yeah.
I get codes myself. Obelisk
Mhm.
doesn't give me codes. Like I have to
Right.
get them. Um, so like I get that. Like it's not like hey, Nintendo Life or Switch Up RPG or beat 'em ups. Like
Mhm.
oh, no, beat 'em ups is one person, but like the ones that are multiple, like it's like okay, here's a code. You guys do what you need to. Like
Mhm.
it's like okay, someone review it versus the single person. Like obviously it's they're reviewing it, so it's like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't know, it's
It's a funny business. and I'm glad I know you like to do the criticism. I'm just glad I'm an X-ray tech personally. I like to talk about games a whole lot. If I had the time, I would probably write more about them, but I'm so glad I don't have to rely on it for a paycheck.
I'm glad I don't do this for a living. Would I like to make money off of my reviews? Sure, but I
Sure.
also like I could play 5 different. I feel like it would change up how I play. Not necessarily a game, but games in general. Like if I'm gonna spend 2 weeks playing Warcraft, obviously I'm not gonna get a game review
Right.
done because I'm not focused. I'm just playing it on the side. Like I wouldn't want to have the games dictate what I play.
Yeah.
Like I dictate my gaming schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to feel. It's like they say, like if you're a chef, you don't want to come home and cook dinner.
Yeah.
Like why would you want like if you do this for a living, you want to come home and do like no, like
Mm-hmm.
like I can imagine like teachers like come home and it's like they gotta then sit and do homework with their kid and you're like, oh
Not this shit again. Yeah.
no, I mean obviously that's more of a rarity, but like a third grade teacher when their kid hits third grade, you're like, oh just did this. But like you get my point. Like you don't wanna
Yeah.
like it's like and I think people just don't appreciate like the biggest critics are the people who don't get paid. And I think they're way too toxic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like they don't understand that like ACG, skill up and beat 'em ups, like they're entitled to their opinion, but it's not gospel. But some of them treat it this way, like if reviewer A hates a game, the comments are like, well, reviewer B and C loved it, you're wrong. It's like, no, that's not how
It's an opinion.
That's how
It's an opinion, yeah.
That's how a review's an opinion. Like, I mean, you can critique if a review's wrong. Like if I said like Ratchet and Clank is by far the worst tactical RPG in the world.
I don't know. That's probably right on some level.
No, you get my point.
Worst tactical RPG, but good third-person action game platformer. Who knew?
Is the worst Diablo 3 clone ever.
Yeah, what the hell? Fucking up Insomniac.
Like that deserves the criticism, but like,
yeah,
I just don't understand when people critique review, like a review of a, like that's what I think that why the book review is so difficult. It was a critique of the music, and I'm reviewing
the critique of the music
like
of one of your favorite games of all time.
Right. So it was just like, yeah, this is not.
Yeah, this is weird.
Like it's like when people called out, I forgot who it was. It was either last year or the year before, but it was clear the person didn't play the game they reviewed. Are you okay?
I heard a beat.
My fan. It was the fan.
Oh, I heard. I'm like, did my PS4 just turn on? I'm like, I'm not in the same room as my PS4. What's happening right now?
It kind of shocked me, and now that I'm thinking about it, Amelia was playing with the buttons before, and she must have hit the timer.
Okay.
For a second, I was immediately like, "Oh shit!" But then I was like, "Well, the lights are still on. It's not like I lost power."
Yeah.
No, but like, yes, that's deserved criticism. Like, you don't play the game and you review it. It's like, how do you review a game you didn't beat? Like, it's like, but like when you just call out like, "Oh, they didn't like the game, so it's like they're wrong." It's like, no. I didn't like Persona. I didn't like it. It's not
right.
I didn't say I didn't like it because it's bad. I didn't like it because I didn't like it.
Like, well, I mean, and then just the last thing I think we can really say here is, like, with regard to the person who didn't beat the DLC or whatever. Would you say that you could review a game without beating it?
Yes, but there's
I feel like you need to require, it requires disclosure. Sure. Like I
there's a
didn't beat.
disclosure, and it depends on, but it also depends on where your criticism is going to take the reader.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to argue, if you don't beat it and then say the story's incomplete, the plot never ended, like they didn't tie off loose ends, but like how can you speak to that if you didn't see the end?
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's also games you can't beat. Like how do you beat Fortnite?
Right. Do you have to get a
Like
victory royale?
I had thought about reviewing Shadowlands when it was released. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily beat the newest expansion for Warcraft. Like, I mean, yeah, if you finish the raid, I guess technically you're done in a sense. But I think, like you said, there needs to be full disclosure, and it needs to be like I know Michaela's talked about it. She's done like a first 48. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think more places need to use that as a template. If you're not going to beat the game, you talk about your first impressions.
Well,
You can't review it, make arguments that it's this, and this when you didn't beat it, and your review clearly makes it seem like you're making points for the whole thing.
sure. And well, I mean, like last year when we were talking about games of the year and like Spelunky 2 wasn't on mine. I didn't get very far in Spelunky, and I found more experiences that I had better than that one, because all I was thinking of the entire time playing Spelunky 2 was my experience with Spelunky 1, and it kind of clouded my judgment. But if I were writing a review and I'm about to start Returnal, and I were given a week to write a review on Returnal, I'd have to basically quit being an X-ray tech and blast through that game, and hopefully I beat it. And I don't beat roguelikes quickly. I still don't know how I beat Hades as quickly as I did for that game club. I still don't know. It's never happened.
Yeah, I think in that case you full disclosure.
I'd be like, look, I didn't.
These are my impressions on Returnal. I didn't finish it, but this is what I experienced in the first 48 hours or so.
Or like this is I'm going to review having not experienced this, so all you're going to hear is ultimately partial. I would probably say like I got through this many worlds, or I fought this many bosses. I know that there are this number of bosses beyond where I've gotten, and I'm going to try not to spoil any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a story-based game, I'm probably not talking about the end of that story.
Right.
If it's, I mean, but I think there's enough to talk about in a game, even if it's even a game like Loop Hero that I've not beaten. I've only beaten the first boss, and that second area is fucking difficult. But there's enough. I mean, like I could talk about Loop Hero for an extended amount of time without talking about its story, but only talking about its mechanics, and give it a solid review.
You either need full disclosure, or your review can't make it seem like you beat it.
Yeah.
If you have complaints that clearly don't make sense, like, oh, I played this game and it's a shooter and I didn't like it because I only had 2 weapons, but I only beat the first 2 levels. And it's like you unlock all your armor like in level 4. It's like, well, that's just no, you didn't finish. Like you didn't make like. But like Rogue Heroes, roguelikes are probably difficult to if you can't like if you don't beat it. Like not like I wouldn't. It's unfair to like I don't experience it usually, but like when there's an embargo.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, a lot of people who deal with the embargo, this is what they do for a living.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've had it. Hopefully, they've had it for enough time prior to embargo.
Or I see like early impressions, and then they finish the review. They do. I've seen like a part 2,
Or like, yeah, review in progress. I know there are plenty of places that still do that. I mean,
And
it's a tricky.
that's more on the developer because they gave the code like the night before, and it's like, all right, well, here's our first impression, but
Mhm. I mean, games are a tricky art form, and because it's not something you can always sit and experience in a single digit number of hours. But
because you know what, gamers,
it's not about you. Bye. Story Route Zero, we have some cool friends who do some cool things, and I'd like to tell you about them. Phoenix Overdrive uses the power of games and gamers to help heal sick kids through the charity Extra Life. Phoenix Overdrive fundraises for Children's Miracle Network hospitals all year, every year, and the fund culminates in a 24-hour gaming marathon. Find out more about their events and projects online via Facebook at facebook.com/Phoenix Overdrive or on Twitter and Instagram at PHX_Overdrive. You can also join the Facebook group of Pawn Stars at facebook.com/groups/PO Nation in order to share and discuss all the latest in nerd culture. They've also got a podcast, Nerd Overdrive, which you can see weekly at youtube.com/Phoenix Overdrive. You can also catch it on Facebook Live or twitch.tv/PHX_Overdrive. That podcast is also published on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. You want merch? They got merch. Merch can be ordered from tinyurl.com/PHXODmerch, a portion of which goes to their fundraising efforts. Join the nation and be a hero to sick kids, as El Capitan Rey Osorio, Lee the Maestro, and Becky, the lovely queen of the guild, always say, #Rise Above. Thank you for listening to Story Route Zero. We hope you have enjoyed your time here as much as we've enjoyed having you. Once again, questions, concerns, complaints, pictures of pets, or favorite recipes can be sent to storyroute0@gmail.com. You can yell at us on Twitter at StoryRoute0. Rate us and review us on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you may have found us, as it helps with discoverability. If you'd like to hit us up individually, you can find Moose Cool at Sven, that's SVHENN on Twitter, PSN, Instagram, and of course Twitch, streaming games. You can find Jason Marshall writing at obelisk.co. You can also find him on Twitter at GimpyJ with 2 Y's at the end, as well as PSN, Instagram, and Twitch. He also has his own website, whereisthepausebutton.com. You can find Michaela Crescione doing all sorts of writing at obelisk.co, as well as on Twitter at RedXMod. My name is Matthew Keel. You can find me everywhere I'd like to be at infinite_rewind. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's Twitch, that's PSN, and I also have my own website, infiniterewind.com. Be sure to check us out at all the places. You are always welcome, and you will always have a seat waiting for you on this ride. Thank you for listening, but for now, it's back to the real world for us. So we will see you on the next one.